Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am super excited that today I have a special guest, Taylor Mills, who will be joining us talking about gratitude and appreciation and the connection to abundance, one of my favorite topics. So before we begin, let us together take 3 conscious breaths. So you know the drill. When you're ready, inhale, filling belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, release, let it go. Chest, ribs, belly. Again, inhaling, filling belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, feel the sweet release as you let go from your chest, your ribs, and your belly. And one more time, inhale, fill up, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, sweet release as you let go. Chest, ribs, belly. Feel the tension melting from the body. So we're going to get right to it. I'd like to introduce you to Taylor Mills, and I'm going to allow you to tell us about who you are and what you are up to in the world, which is simply amazing. Take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here and getting to talk to you again. I'm Taylor. I'm the founder of Eithera. I'm a California native, but I spent the last 7 years in New York City before moving back to the Bay last year. I'm a fully expressed second chakra creator. I'm passionate about beautiful design, beautiful experiences, and living a sensual life of abundance in whatever form that takes. I've practiced yoga for almost 2 decades, and I love growing plants from food scraps, but have only recently dived into exploring energetic practices like Kundalini yoga, shaman-led rituals, practical studies with educators like Stephanie, and the other professionals I've been fortunate to collaborate with through my brand Eithera. Eithera is a space for the spiritually curious to come together and explore practices to empower their own spiritual and wellness journey. And we believe a spiritually energized world is only possible through a collection of spiritually energized individuals. And by utilizing the hues of the 7 chakras, we build intention and initiative around energy support, embodiment of personal ideals, and self development. So my professional background is in fashion and design, as well as community engagement and management. So I've worked in fashion and design for over a decade, including designing pieces for opera singers and classical musicians, as well as bridal and now athletic wear. And I've built volunteerism and giving programs, as well as community-led programs for the top beauty brands in the world. And I loved it, but transitioned to creating and building Eithera when COVID hit. I saw the chaos that was manifesting in the world and early on, and I thought there had to be something better, a better way to deal with the confusion and fighting, the triggering moments, and so created Eithera to empower people to start their wellness path in a colorful and vibrant way that had no other agenda than helping connect our audience to education, community, and products to help you create the life that you want.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for having the courage to start a business during a challenging time and for your big vision. When I was first introduced to you, I was really humbled by the fact that you really do have this incredibly huge heart and intention and passion for introducing people to, I think, sometimes what might seem like woo-woo topics or out of reach, right? So can you tell us a little bit more about what Eithera means? Is there a meaning behind that word? Like, what does it mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So Eithera, kind of takes in that fifth element understanding of like the etheric realm. So it's like that connection to spirit, to oneness, to otherness, that thing that exists outside of, the human experience. And it really brings it into our physical experience, so that grounding. So it's straight from the crown chakra down to the root. And so that's really where the etheric comes from. It's in divine inspiration, it's oneness, it's kind of this all understanding of what community is on a, cosmic and macro level, and then bringing it down into the individual experience for our customers and ourselves. And the topics really are woo woo, but I kind of got to a point where I was like, these things are so helpful, and there's more and more science and data that's backing up, what a lot of these ancient practices and technologies have been teaching for so long. And I'm still new to it too. And so I really wanted to create a space where people who were interested in finding ways to manage their own energy and feel better could explore that in ways that weren't so etheric. They weren't so out there. And so it really brings it into the individual human experience and personal experience of how we can work with our own energy and explore in a safe way things that can feel a little esoteric and a little, out there and kind of scary. I wanted to make it less scary for us to kind of come together and really talk about these practices and just say, hey, it's like breathing techniques. It's like mindfulness, it's meditation, it's like providing yourself an interrupt so that you can get out of that cycle, that hamster wheel in your head, and make better decisions in your life, and just connect to who you are, to kind of build up who you want to be, and do that with less fear and with community.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate you for taking that on, because I understand it's no easy task. And I love how you add the color element, because sometimes especially when we're working with the energy body, and if we're working with the second chakra, which is the color orange, I'm like, just wear orange. So there are ways to like actually make it fun and accessible without really having to even understand it. So wonderful. And this is a beautiful segue into the conversation today, which is about gratitude and appreciation and how that impacts and creates abundance. So I know we'll be talking about energy. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, like, when you hear the word gratitude and appreciation, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I was actually really excited to kind of approach this topic because it's been something, especially with the election coming up in the U.S. I've been thinking about like what could we do in order to make it better? Like, how can we deal with what's going on right now? And kind of going along this thought topic, at their essence, I really feel that gratitude and appreciation are expressions of kindness. And kindness is a form of love, and it's in its unconditional form when done right. So if you think about being kind, you're never kind because you're getting something out of it. Like, you take your ego out of it. And you're never kind because of a condition that's being met. So I consider, like, when you have a condition that you need met, that's more a form of niceness. And many people are nice to your face, but kindness takes the ego out of it. And by taking the ego out of it, it takes away the need to look good for an audience, and thus creating like the perfect scenario for unconditional love to flow through you. And so I like to think of gratitude and appreciation as like acts of source energy flowing through all of us. And that like divine, cosmic, God level love that needs nothing else to exist but to have joy. And that's why it exists. So I've come to love appreciation and gratitude, and maybe even appreciation over gratitude, because gratitude means that there had to be an action, where appreciation, you can just kind of savor its essence. And I really like that you can savor that unconditional love, that kindness, as you, and building in these practices into your life so that you can actually, kind of facilitate more of that in your life.
Well said. So how do you feel gratitude and appreciation connect to creating abundance or affluence or prosperity, whatever word we want to choose, wealth in all its forms in our life? What's the connection?
Oh my gosh. So this was so much fun to kind of think through. And so I think both gratitude and appreciation are feelings first and actions after that. And your feelings are such powerful tools in creating the things you want and in calling in what you want more of in your life. So I think many of us want abundance, and that's why we're discussing this and thinking about it. But we want something more, right? And so the more part of that phrase to me is the idea of abundance. And when I think of abundance, I think bounteousness and I think prosperity. And one of the cool things that I was able to kind of explore this summer was I led a 21 days of abundance meditation, and we'll probably lead one again this winter. But it was wonderful to embark on the meditations by Deepak Chopra and the activities to cultivate more abundance in our lives. So if we really look at abundance, and Deepak says what it is the experience when all our needs are met and our desires spontaneously fulfilled. And these desires include abundant joy, health, vitality, happiness, a sense of purpose, and an overflowing fullness in every facet of our lives. So when we are asking for abundance, we are asking for completion of our thoughts and feelings, and which is an energetic like return frequency for what we are broadcasting. So to get there where our needs are met and our desires fulfilled, we need to be in an energetic place to receive these seemingly spontaneous moments. And all that is done through feeling, cultivation and curation of gratitude and appreciation in our lives. And so that's one of the really cool, understandings of why gratitude and appreciation means so much to the cultivation of abundance in one's life. So one of the things that I've been kind of working on and in the last few weeks is really sitting in a daily practice of appreciation, gratitude. And I really think it can change your life. I mean, starting the day feeling appreciation as soon as you wake up sets you up not to only feel it in the first moments upon waking, but acts kind of as a level set. So you can check in through the day and start to feel your energy. If it's going down or if it's, going up, you can say, how do I feel now compared to what was happening this morning? And how can I go back to that feeling, that appreciation, that gratitude that I was feeling this morning? And the cool thing is that even if your life is like difficult or you're not in a place where you're feeling much gratitude or appreciation, you don't need to go straight to like sunshine and flowers and rainbows. You can cultivate it where you're at. And I think that's one of the most important things, is kind of having that kindness for yourself and to go, okay, I am, feeling kind of low energy. I'm not in a good place, but like, what can I feel really good about in this moment? And then start your day with that and like really just feel it fully. So not just, I have a house, I have a dog, I have a bed, like, cool. That's not a feeling, right? So if you're feeling down and depressed, you can, start to feel grateful, like from your heart, like, I have a bed to be in right now. I am safe in my bed right now. I am feeling grateful that my socks are keeping my feet warm when I'm cold, and that I had the money to buy the socks, and that if I need to buy other socks, I have that money too. So it's like little things where you can start to increase your energy and increase those feelings of gratitude and appreciation to lead you to the path of abundance. And so I think that's like really, really important. And so like, however it looks like in your life, you can cultivate gratitude and appreciation and build it up to where you're feeling and meeting those spontaneous desires that Deepak was talking about, that you have for yourself, like the bigger stuff even. So like paying off your debts or meeting that right relationship or whatever the big goals are, you can just, you start with where you're at, you work up to it, and you start to like have a daily practice as well as a daily check-in of how you're feeling. And I think that's, really, really relevant today in particular. If we are kind of, I believe that the outside world is a mirror for like our collective inner turmoil and of our society and the people who make up our world. So if we're looking at that, all of us are creating this world together by like our daily actions with each other. So I've always thought of our actions like a spider web. You pull one thread here and it moves the rest of the web in like subtle ways, right? So, but you feel it. So our energy is what like links us into one another in that web, and that becomes kind of our realized life. So by developing appreciation, gratitude internally, we start to affect the rest of the web. And so especially back to now, right now, there's disease, chaos, political upheaval, social unrest, domestic terror, massive climate changes. And this is all just in the US. And so to address that chaos outside, we have to collectively address it inside. And this means confronting our shadows, the parts we are scared or ashamed of in ourselves, and looking at them in the light of day and finding ways to healthily work with your energy to become the person you want to be, and addressing things in yourself that are blocking you from getting there. And also having like that radical empathy that every person is going through the experience of wanting to become their best selves and are just doing the best they can with like the tools they have right now. So at the end of the day, the only person we have absolute control over is ourselves. And so to create an impact on the world, we have to start with ourselves and focus on ourselves. And the only way you're going to feel any of that is by being kind to yourself and others. And the path of kindness is through appreciation and gratitude, which are practices of unconditional love. And so that's kind of the pathway of like how you can practice appreciation, gratitude, what it means for abundance, how it's a feeling energy that you cultivate and build up so that you can affect yourself and thus affect the world. And that's what we're trying to teach at Eithera is, to, anyone who comes to us and says, hey, I want to, try out new things and explore. That's really where it comes in, is there's a path of like energy. And so how can we do the best we can in these moments, and with the only control that we have is ourselves. And so that's kind of the pathway, is through the appreciation, through the gratitude, and that's how you bring, abundance into your world.
Wow. Incredible. Yes. What you said was so rich, and I kept wanting to comment, but I'm like, no, she's, so I think we're really aligned. So I would love to take a moment to kind of reflect on maybe some of the points of what you said for listeners and people that are watching, because you do have a lot of really incredible points that you make. So thank you. Beautiful description. And I'm just wondering too, like when I hear you speak, my vibration increases.
Aw,
Right?
you.
So that's like part of the practice of like when we're actually in the space of gratitude and appreciation and unconditional love, and we have these intentions, that we actually attract that.
Mm-hmm.
So you are modeling it by being that. So
Exactly.
for people who are watching and listening, when you talk about the importance of the feeling and the emotion, and in particular being real about the times we're living in right now, some of us don't feel that. And we plug into the negativity. And what you said about we are always in control of our own choice, and that we can choose to wake up and take a breath and say, thank you for this breath. Like the most basic, right? And not to fake it, not to force it. That some days, right? It's the little things, which are big things, because without breath, there's no life.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
love what you said too about how you have a practice, a daily practice of, sitting in gratitude. And I encourage people to have a daily practice of that. And also at the end of the day. So when we're laying in bed saying, thank you for this day. Thank you for this cozy bed. And if you have furry friends or lovers or whoever's next to you or with you, or your pillow, to really bookend the day as well, because it sets us off into sleep with that high vibration energy.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great way to bookend the practice and to, really set yourself up for success the next day. And, I just want to let people know that like, I haven't always been someone who has studied this. This is very new to me. I'm a spiritual journeyer along with my customers. So I haven't been practicing this for a long time. I've done yoga for a long time, but again, the energy work and, the, mindfulness and the gratitude and appreciation, like gratitude and appreciation, I only picked up 2 weeks ago. It was something that I heard and I was like, hey, I can implement this into my life really easily. And I use that as my way to like, check in with my energy throughout the day. So if in, later today, something comes up that's, annoying or frustrating, that is my contrast to how I felt in the beginning of the day. And then I can go, oh, I noticed that I'm not feeling like I was feeling in the beginning of the day. What do I need to do to get me back there? How do I get back to that point so that I can increase my own energy, which is the only thing I have control of. And I think I loved what you said, about taking that moment, that breath. And I think that energetic practices that, we're kind of exploring and that you have been, so instrumental in helping me look through, as well as the other educators in Eithera, it creates a moment where we can study and practice, and it creates like these energetic practices are essentially an interrupt to that hamster wheel in our head. And so it's not just like oh, we're taking a breath. It's we're taking a breath because it interrupts our frequency of lack and fear or shame or what have you, that is spinning us into a lower feeling as we go about our day. And so it interrupts it. And so that's what meditation is good for. That's what taking a breath is good for. Those are all, or appreciation, mindfulness, gratitude, so that you can interrupt. It's your mental interrupt, and you go, oh, I can stop this. Like, I don't need to like continue down on this hamster wheel. I can get off, take a breath, and reassess the situation to make, good decisions in my life.
Yes, another excellent point. It's interrupting the process. And
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
same here, even though I've been studying this for years, it's still a daily practice, right? Because we're always confronted with life and challenges. And I always say the deeper that you grow and go, the bigger the stuff that comes at you, right? And it's not the universe being mean or testing us. It's the universe saying, okay, step in, step up. You ask for more, here's the more.
Yeah.
Which I think, right, there's a lot of people that kind of embark on this spiritual journey and it's like, wait, it's not blissful, or wait, this meditation was so uncomfortable, or my mind's racing, or my energy is stuck. And I'm like, good, now we get to work with it. So this awareness practice, right, all these practices are ways to bring awareness. And then once we bring awareness and we learn the tools, which you do such a beautiful job of providing through your company, is we can help people clear the energy and reframe their thoughts and get rid of
Absolutely.
those negative beliefs, those limiting beliefs that say I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserving, or all that fear-based stuff.
Yeah.
Because once
I'm
we
not
clear
secure. I'm
those,
not
yeah, I'm
abundant,
not secure, or that's never going to happen, and that's our own self-talk. That's not even then turning on the television or talking to someone else. So the more that we can clean our energy field and clean our chakras and clean our mind and really kind of come from that place of beginner's mind, that we are a drop of the universe and anything is possible, and we are already affluent, we are already abundant. And we do that with the gratitude and the appreciation. And that's a really beautiful kind of first step, even for somebody who's starting out. You don't have to understand, right, anything that we're
Right.
saying. If you
Absolutely.
start and end your day, and also look for other opportunities throughout the day to say thank you, right, before we sit and have a meal. It's not about religion. Some people aren't religious and they don't believe in prayer, but a gratitude for this food on the table, for the resources, right? There's ways that we can throughout our day stop and really continue to get into the place of high vibration. It doesn't always have to be something bad is happening. Of course, if it is, we want to change it as quickly as possible, right? ABC, always be clearing. So one other little tool that I use a lot is I have a really beautiful crystal bowl, and I have a piece of paper in front of it that says, "Hi, beautiful. What are you grateful for?" And I have a pen and a sheet of paper. So every day I fill it. I encourage people that come into my space to fill it. And it's just another kind of reminder and way to not only acknowledge, but sometimes writing, right? For some of us who tend to write, it's like we're putting it out there. And there's also this place of not only having gratitude for what we have, but it's also important to have gratitude for what we are looking to manifest, right? Which is what I wanted to
Absolutely.
kind of bring in towards the end of this, is that the steps in manifestation, all of the stuff we're talking about, these are all kind of like sub steps within that, right? When
Right.
we're going after the things that we want. So Eckhart Tolle, which I know you're familiar with him, I call him my spiritual daddy.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
that's
I've done a lot of trainings with him, and he kind of reminds me of my father, who God rest his soul, but just like a sweet, present, gentle man. And he always talks about gratitude and says that, like, thank the universe in advance, because if we come from a place of I don't have it, we're in lack. And I never really understood that until recently, where I was like, oh, I understand why they say thank you for these beautiful prospering relationships and my healthy body and my beautiful home and my thriving business. It's saying to the universe, yes, I'm worthy, I receive.
hmm
So tell me a little bit about, because I know you understand exactly what I'm saying. So any input or insight on that in terms of thanking the universe in advance for what we are looking to create and dream into being?
Absolutely. So for me, I'm a visual person, and so I've always really been into visualizing what it is that I want in my life. And so what kind of has really resonated with me is kind of understanding that there's a frequency. So for me, I see like a physical, sound wave or what have you, some sort of wave, some sort of frequency, and you have to put out this frequency in order to receive it, right? So like if you're putting out a lack frequency, then what's coming back to you is lack. And so like you're not supposed to exist in a frequency that is in your past. You're supposed to project your frequency that is in the future so that it can find you. So even though we're living in the moment, and Eckhart Tolle is all about living in the moment, it's living in the moment of like gratitude, that that potential gratitude, that or potential fulfillment of your desires. And so in order to receive those desires, you have to project it out. And so I really like kind of that understanding that it is a frequency of projecting out, but then it's also a frequency of receiving it, which is different than you projecting it, because you projecting it kind of is like, okay, I'm asking, not from a place of lack, but I'm asking for it. But then you have to like receive the transmitting frequency, right? You can't keep like blasting out your frequency. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. At a certain point, you have to listen. And so that's where coming back into, the visuals for me. So I kind of think of myself like a radio, and I put out the frequency, and then I have to stop, and I have to let the frequency come back to me so I can actually receive it, because it's all around us. One of the things that I really love about kind of exploring Abraham Hicks and Eckhart Tolle and so many other leaders in our field and the wellness and spiritual industries is that, we're all talking about ways that we can work with our energy, but also kind of do so in a way that makes it clear that we can receive it. It's always there. It's never not been there. It's just that we were projecting our frequency out so much we didn't know to receive or to stop so that we could receive. And I think that's one of the things that I've really been exploring this year and has been really special, is like giving yourself permission to receive and knowing that it's already there. And so there really is no lack in the universe. It's just that you haven't been receiving, you haven't allowed yourself to receive.
Yes.
So that's a big part of it.
Oh, I love that. And so many people that I've met and that typically come to me for coaching are givers, right? So many people in this wellness field tend to be givers that we sometimes forget how to receive, right? So when we receive, it's a gift to the giver. So it is, right, as Deepak talks about 7 spiritual laws of success, it's the law of giving and receiving. And if we're on the other spectrum of that, and let's say we feel like we're not being appreciated, then we get to appreciate somebody else. We get to give it out knowing it'll come back to us. So that's another, right, one of those things when it comes to appreciation. Like sometimes we have to give what we want to receive. And yes, to your point, that we then have to be still and be able to take it in and feel worthy, right? Yeah. Like, wow, I asked for that success and now it's here. And can I receive it? Which is a whole other podcast conversation.
I know, right?
So wonderful. So is there anything else, any other tips or tricks or things that you're aware of that you want to add about this topic?
I think it's like, when those things do happen, when we receive even the tiny gifts or the big gifts, it's really taking a moment to celebrate them, like really sitting in that celebration of the fulfillment. So for example, I mean, this is such a small one, but I was visiting my college roommate in Half Moon Bay this weekend, and went to Sam's Chowder House, which always is packed. Even during COVID, when they're doing outdoor eating only and takeaway, parking lot is absolutely packed. And I really wanted to bring some chowder back to my parents for dinner. And I just, I kind of sent out the frequency that there was going to be a parking spot for me. And, I sat in like 30 minutes of traffic to like even get in. It was on my way home anyway, so I had to do it anyway. But I was like, let's just see what happens. And I turned into the parking lot, and sure enough, within 30 seconds, someone pulled out right in front. And it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. It was amazing. But it was amazing to sit in that moment and just celebrate the fact that that completion of this spontaneous desire was met. And I got to celebrate it, and I got to celebrate it further when I brought, the chowder back to my parents, and we had it for dinner. And it was just such a little beautiful moment, and so small, but like it taking the time to celebrate it means that I put out the energy and the frequency that I am here to celebrate all the other fulfilled moments that come into my life. And so the more you take time to celebrate those small infinitesimal things, the more it builds up the energy that you are receiving, that you're okay with receiving. And so you can kind of start there in order to get to the point where you receive like all the bigger stuff.
Mm, perfect. Yes. And play with it, right?
Yes.
Play with it. Like, I don't know, your belief level, I suspect, was probably pretty high that you were going to get that parking spot, because you're not a newbie to this work, even though we're always learning, right? So that's also building our belief. And then when it happens, it affirms it. So then we start to make bigger requests, right? And we expect the health, we expect the wealth and the riches and the prosperity in all its forms, right? Because we know that's who we are at our core.
Yep.
So really beautiful, really beautiful. So if people want to connect with you, what's the best way? How can they support you? How can they check out your offerings? How can they plug in?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the really cool things about building Eithera is that we have so many different venues of exploration. And so there are so many ways to connect with us. So one of the things that we're actually exploring this month in October is all about embracing maternal wellness. And so we are doing talks on Instagram, on Facebook. So you can, join our Eithera Brand Facebook page and our community page in order to find out some more times. But we're actually doing a conversation this Thursday. It's called Self-Care Down There. And it's all about how you take care of yourself as a female, as a woman, for, some issues, or not issues, but how to celebrate yourself and how to care for yourself, whether it's, you've just had a child or you've had traumatic sports injuries. And so it's just ways to celebrate yourself and take care of yourself down there. So that's going to be a conversation this Thursday. And then we're exploring maternal wellness all through October with, Valerie Lynn, who is speaking about, from Eco Postnatal Care, who's speaking about nutrition and different practices that include Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, as well as Malay practices, which has the lowest maternal mortality rate in the world. So it's really programs that really help women who are kind of going through this new spiritual moment in their life through the birth of their child. And so that's really fun. And then we also have our Living Colorfully YouTube series, which you participated in our sacral chakra, the Svadhisthana. So I highly encourage everyone listening to go and check out that video, as well as our other videos exploring the chakras and how we can work with that energy. And if you want to connect to others who are just like interested in this and exploring this, we have our Facebook page, Eithera Brand. So facebook.com/Eithera Brand. And then I think we're going to be looking at sound exploration during the holidays. So always check back into EitheraBrand.com because most likely we have something awesome coming up that's worth exploring, and archived content and blogs for you to check back in on. So if it has to do with energetic or wellness practices, we're looking at it, we're asking experts, and we're finding ways that we can bring that path of abundance back into our lives through these practices.
I love it. And I love the potential for December, the sound. That's one of my favorite practices is sound healing. So I think it's the perfect time. So I'm going to definitely be looking into that as well. So thank you. And I want to end with a quote by Rumi, which is, I'm a quote girl, and it's a goodie. And it goes like this: wear gratitude like a cloak, and it will feed every corner of your life. So try it, do it. Taylor, thank you. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to talk with you. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing for the planet, for the world. So thank you. And I look forward to doing more fun things with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was so beautiful. And I'm so excited that I got to, chat with your listeners and let them know how much, I appreciate you. And, even hearing all the incredible things that you have to say and your life practices and stories. So thank you so much. I'm so glad we've gotten to cultivate this friendship.
Wonderful. Take care.
Bye
Thanks,
now.
everybody.